Hello guys, how are you all doing? So today, this very first video in this kind of format, I want to talk to you about some of the red flags when you're working for an Eikaiwa or when you're looking for an Eikaiwa job. So what is an Eikaiwa? It's basically an English conversation school in Japan. And please don't confuse this with ALT, which is assistant language teacher. This is very, very different. So I'm going to be specifically talking about Eikaiwa's private English conversation schools in Japan. So uh, we're going to get into how does it look like to work for an Eikaiwa? How does your average day look like? Uh, what are the goods, the bads, and what are some of the red flags to watch out for when you're going through interviews, when you're applying for jobs, even when you're here. So pretty much how is how does it look to work for an Eikaiwa? A lot of people would say English. Everybody can do English teaching pretty much. If you're fluent in English, you can teach English. It doesn't take. It's not rocket science. Okay, so it's very very different from teaching as an ALT. So Eikaiwa, you should consider it as a like full time position. You won't have a lot of free time during the work week. So usually you would work from Tuesday to Saturday, and then you'll have like Sunday or Monday off, and so you will not have a proper weekend when all other, so to say, normal companies will have their weekends. So your days off could be irregular depending on the company, but you should have at least 2 days off. Maybe not back to back. Maybe they're going to be split up. In my case, sometimes it's like you have Sunday free and then Wednesday. It all depends. However, usually it's an 8 hour workday, sometimes eight and a half, sometimes nine. It all depends. This is Japan. Overtime here is very, very common. That's number one. Number two, a lot of the companies would tell you you'd have a 30-hour work week usually, which is and it is not true at the same time, and I'm going to explain why. So first, yes, you would have 30 hours a week of in classroom teaching. So that's the time you would spend teaching your students directly. And what the contract usually doesn't say, or sometimes it does say, you would have about 2 hours a day, maybe sometimes three, of non teaching time, where you're not in the classroom teaching your students, but you're doing the paperwork, you're planning your lessons, you're doing the administration, or whatever side jobs that you have in your company. So, in my personal case, we would get to the company half an hour earlier to start getting ready for the day, getting all your files, documents, whatever you need for teaching. Then we would have about 6 hours, sometimes seven, sometimes five. It all depends on the day of in classroom teaching. You would teach your students for that amount of time. It's a 1 hour lesson. Mind you, some other companies might have 50-minute lessons, 45-minute lessons. That's all up in the air depending on your company. So the other time we would spend doing our side projects, be it creating videos for the school, be it working on the curriculum, be it doing the administration, whatever, be it preparing for the lessons, which you will have to do once you first start, especially if you have no experience. So sometimes you would have in Japan, there's a mandatory lunch break. It could be half an hour, could be an hour. Sometimes you would have less or more, that all depends, but that all stretches out your day to, if you have an 8 hour day, it would make it a 9.5 hour plus getting there, yada yada. We're talking maybe 10 hours, maybe sometimes more, depending on the company. So in my particular case, we would work from Tuesday to Saturday. Saturday is a work day as well. Sometimes you have a working Monday, and you're free on Wednesday. It all depends. So usually, sometimes you'll get earlier as well, but that's all right. So usually we would get there at uh, 1:30 p.m. You would usually work like in the afternoon if you are working for an Eikaiwa. So we would get there 1:30, start preparing, and then we would start teaching. And after all of that is finished, we would have to clean up the school. And we would have to, when I say clean up, that means wipe the whiteboards, clean the classrooms, dump the trash, clean the toilets. So that's all a part of the job that's not in the contract. And one more thing that's not in the contract is that usually by the end of the year, before New Year's, you would have the so-called osoji, which is the big cleaning. And usually, in my particular company, all of the teachers, all of the staff is involved. We're cleaning the school thoroughly, and that's pretty much a full work day. We would get there at 8 a.m. and work basically through the day until 6, 7, sometimes 8 p.m. So another thing is vacations. Vacations, if you're working for an Eikaiwa, you won't have much. You won't have many of them. But the two biggest vacations are Obon holiday, which is in August, and maybe you'll get 10 days, maybe you'll get 11. And New Year holiday, which you'll get maybe a week, maybe 10 days. Again, depends on the company. And for Golden Week, that's I think in the end of April. You would maybe get 2 days or 1 day and put that together with your weekend. So that's pretty much all the free days you will get as an English teacher at an Eikaiwa, unless it's typhoon season and the typhoon is coming in your area and they cancel your work. But you'll have to make it up anyway. So not many vacations. Your contract will state that you have, after 6 months or after completing a contract, you will get 5 free days, which you can use for sick leave and whatever. But in reality, you can't really, especially if you work for a small Eikaiwa, you can't really use those free days as you wish. And for example, if you get sick, they'll take one of the 3 days from your contract, and you would have them for that. But if you just feel like not going to work and you want to say, okay, I want to use my 3 day connected with my weekend, that probably won't fly, especially if you have a Japanese boss or whatever. So that's the thing number one. Let's look into the salary. So the average salary for Eikaiwas is about 250,000 Japanese yen, which equates to $2,500. So, but don't look at it as the money that you're getting. It's usually the money that you get paid, and then your apartment gets deducted from it, your health insurance, your bills, your pension, which we're gonna get into later, and taxes, and maybe if you're in the countryside, if you're traveling by car, the fuel money that you're paying. So look at it as less. So, but anyway, it's, especially in the countryside, it's decent money, and you can live pretty comfortably with it, at least for the first year. So now let's get into some red flags and things to look out for in your interview process, in your application process, and even when you come here. So it's extremely important, number one, to have pension. So pension. Shakai Hoken is the best. That's the company's paying half of it, you're paying the other half of it, and it's the best pension system that you can get in Japan. And chances are, if you work for a small company, you're not gonna be able to get it. But my advice is, during the interview stage, throw it out there, ask for it, try to negotiate for it, show them that you know how the system works, and that you know that it's mandatory. If you're working full time in Japan, if you're over 20 years old, you are required by law to have pension. So your employer might try to pull wool over your face, which is all nice and dandy, and it's up to you to not fall for it, because all the employers think, and rightfully so, that most of the English teaching people that come to Japan are here to stay for a year, experience the country, and then bail out, return to their home country, or even change jobs. So I don't blame them for not offering that. The thing you should ask for, and the thing that you should be receiving, is at least the kokumin nenkin, which is the basic pension, the private pension. And usually you would pay that out of your own pocket. I'm paying it out of my own pocket. But make sure with your employer to have it from the get-go. Because if you don't pay any pension later down the line, when they catch you, when they realize what you're doing, you're gonna have to back pay a lot of money, and it's not a comfortable thing to do. It's a lot of money. So but one little disclaimer: even if you get caught, you can arrange a deal with the pension people, so you can split up your payments into smaller chunks, so you don't have to pay like $1,000 or $2,000 immediately. So a lot of you guys might not even save that amount of money, depending on where you live. So that's the red flag number one. Red flag number two is the health insurance. You have to have health insurance, and I think most of the companies will provide you that. But make sure that make it a point to try and negotiate with your employer so they can help you out with it. You don't have to pay for it out of your own pocket. So those are the two biggest red flags. You're probably going to be signed as a contractor, not as a full-time employee, which is another thing. And if you are living in the countryside, either you're going to be living close to the school, cycling distance, or you're going to have companies' cars. And in my particular case, the teachers are splitting up the cost of the car going to the school and back. So basically we're paying for transport as well. Our company is not covering it for us. So all in all, those are some things to kind of look out for. Those are the most dangerous things: the pension and the health insurance. Look out for that. And pretty much that's all that's basically really important. Other things you can figure out by yourself. And yeah, so that would be all for today. I hope you guys found the video useful. I hope you learned something. If you enjoyed the video, drop me a like. If you dislike the video, drop me a dislike. I don't really care. If you want to see more, subscribe so I can know that people are watching. That if you have any question, if you have anything you disagree with or agree with, make sure to leave me a comment down below, and I'll be happy to reply, because I don't have many viewers as of right now, so I'm pretty confident I can reply to every single comment. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good day or night wherever you live. Have a nice one.